What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Wednesday night edition of Mythic Conversations. Like every week, I am your host, Jeremy Gerard. I'm a Mythic Legions collector and customizer. I also have the distinct privilege of being the digital marketing manager for Four Horsemen Studios, which means that all the content that you see at sourcehorseman.com is content that I help to bring you. Hopefully, if you're into Mythic Legions, you're regularly checking out sourcehorseman.com because we work really hard to make it the hub of all things Legions. If you want more information and want to see more of my work, you can certainly do so by checking me out on Instagram. That's at Mythic Customs on Instagram. I do also have a website that I have been very, very neglectful for quite some time, www.mythiccustoms.com. Of course, I'm also here every Wednesday night live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time for Mythic Conversations, the weekly show where we talk about all things Legions. Some weeks we're doing customizing. We're actually doing live customizing on the air. I haven't done that in a little while, so I'm going to have to get back to that. Other weeks we're just kind of having show and tell topics, and then some weeks we have interviews like tonight. Tonight, I'm super excited to bring in a fellow creator, a fellow customizer, digital sculptor, kind of jack of all trades. Welcome, everybody, Brian Burke from Burke Studios.
What's up, you guys? So awesome to be here. Thanks, Jeremy.
Absolutely, Brian. Thank you so much for joining. You're a guest that I've wanted to have on for a while, and I'm going to be totally honest with you. The reason I held off for as long as I did was I wanted it to be in October because you believe in monsters, correct?
I believe.
You know, October is one of my favorite months of the year. I actually love the fall. I live in New England, so fall in New England is like the closest you can get to heaven. It is a wonderful, wonderful place. I love everything about October. I'm a super Christmas nut, but if it wasn't for how much I love Christmas, October and Halloween would be my favorite. So I love doing spooky customs at this time of year, having conversations about that, and you absolutely fit the bill.
All times of the year, creepy customs are good. October's a great time because everyone gets a cosplay, right? Everyone's a cosplayer during this time of year, so it's fun to see that. No, I'm absolutely. I like to call it October.
The time that you can do that.
Right.
So we're definitely going to look at some cool stuff tonight. I think you might actually have some fun stuff that you want to show.
Yeah.
But I also just want to have a conversation like the show is named, and I want to open it up to the audience as well. If you do have questions for Brian, hit me up in the comments. Fair warning, a lot of times when I do interviews, I do have a hard time getting to all the comments. So we'll try to have specific periods where we can do some questions that might work a little bit better. So Brian, I distinctly remember when I first saw you come onto the scene.
Yeah.
It was a point where I was, I'd been customizing for a while, certainly. I had already started working with like Len from Wolf King, putting out some parts. And then out of the blue, I see these new parts come out from this new guy, Brian Burke.
Yeah.
And the first thing, as I started seeing it, the first thing that I remember saying to myself and actually to Len is I was like, this dude knows how to market. Like this dude, like right out of the gate, you came out and everything you were doing, the imagery, the sculptures, the way they were presented, everything just tied together so well. how did you get into digital sculpting? How did you get into Mythic Legions? You got to have a creative kind of marketing or advertising background, I have to imagine.
Well, I think it's, for me, I've always had a fantasy, I don't know, passion, right? Since the beginning, Conan and you name it, Clash of the Titans, it goes way back. So I've always had the passion for it. Star Wars too. I think Star Wars has original Star Wars had a real fantasy kind of vibe to it as well. So I've always gravitated towards that genre of pop culture, I guess. And so I'd taken a break for some time in collecting just due to life and circumstances, came back to it and found Mythic Legions somewhere on a YouTube channel or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And I took a screen capture and posted in a local Facebook group, I think local to the Portland area. And someone had mentioned that was a Mythic Legions figure. So that started my spiral, looking into more of the Mythic Legions figures. And so what started from there was wanting to do parts for that figure that I had gotten. Originally I picked up the skeleton warrior builder, and then also I think it was the steel knight that I got. The two staple figures to get. I had posted on the Cabal. Actually, someone had mentioned you should join the Cabal Facebook group because it's all about Mythic Legions. It's about the figures you're talking about. So I did, and I did one of my very first posts, I believe, was I'm looking at either purchasing the skeleton warrior or it was the steel knight, right? And people were kind of giving the feedback on which one to get. And I was a really big fan of skeletons at the time. Well, Dustin Carter had chimed in. He says, I'll tell you what, you pick one, I'll buy you the other one. And so I was like, oh my God, is this what kind of community this is, right? And so not only was I back into the fantasy and now into Mythic Legions, now the community was there supporting that new path for me. And so from that point on, it's been history, my involvement and wanting to be a part of the community. But what kicked it off was I started doing traditional sculpting, getting back and trying to make some customs, get back into, I did some customizing back in the 90s. I think I created one of my first custom was when Power of the Force 2 came out. I think it was in 1992, 93 or some 94. I can't remember the exact date. There was like maybe 6 figures or so, one of which was Darth Vader. So I wanted to create a removable helmet Darth Vader from that. So, X-Acto knifing, trying to clay sculpt a head, the whole thing. I've since put it down, the customize or since then up until recently with the Cabal and everything. So I got the itch to start customizing things again. And so my first thing I tried to do was some bone wings, and it was going with the traditional clay sculpting. And so I tried to do that and then try to mold it, do a casting on it. So imagine doing like a wing with the arms, and imagine trying to cast those bones, right? It was a nightmare. And so I had to do something different. So I really wanted to create a custom parts for, my skeleton warrior and whatever. And so it started sending me in the direction of 3D, software, ZBrush, and started off in Blender. Blender was a free software platform. And so hopped in that and did some terrible sculpts, posted them on the Cabal and got some crazy feedback, from that. But that's how it all started, really. I think what really got me into the customizing part was the community support behind the feedback. There was just a ton of feedback that got me more interested in doing that. And so with that being said, I looked to the other designers, Wolf King and Planetary Dog Toys and the custom stuff you were doing yourself. And I'm thinking to myself, how do I do that? How do I do this? And so, and I'm a nobody. No one knows who I am. I don't know how long this community has been involved. And so my thought was I need to come in and with a bang, and how's that going to be? And so that's how it all started, was with wanting to really come into the place to provide a new flavor, I guess. I don't know, that was probably the main start. And
cool.
My whole motto, I guess mission statement is providing a canvas that inspires creativity. So cool. Everyone inspires me to be creative. If I can do something to create a piece, a sculpt that will enable somebody to do a really cool custom or paint it up for the first time or paint it up for the millionth time. If I can do that, that's would be pretty amazing. And so that was another inspiration for me, is creating a new platform for people to design with. So
yeah, I mean, everything you're saying obviously is very much in line with Mythic Legions and the Cabal. Very supportive, very, very creative. So it sounds like your direction and your goal was just a perfect fit anyway. But you did mention that you knew you came in and you said you were a nobody. It's not the language I would have used, but you were new onto the scene, so you had to make a name for yourself. And I mentioned that the marketing was great, but your parts over time also have really, you have a distinctive style. And I mean that in a very, very positive way. I love when I look at an artist, whether it's sculpting, whether it's, actual, painting or music. I love when an artist of some kind has a style that is uniquely theirs, that the minute I see it, I get happy because I'm like, yes, that's a Brian Burke piece.
Oh, cool.
A lot of your pieces have what I would almost consider a very punk rock type aesthetic to them. You're here with your mohawk and everything.
Yeah.
Is that I have to imagine it's intentional, but is that something that you try to infuse into your work?
I think there's, when you look at what punk really is, it's not the music, it's not someone with a mohawk. Something being punk is when someone goes out of a certain space, a comfort zone, and has the audacity to try something crazy and just go after it, and not really caring about the people, that's looking at them weird or how it may look to others. They just feel confident that's something that they believe in. And so growing up in the early to mid 80s, I was the punk rock skateboard kid, trying to do things different, with different things. And so I think that has really carried into designing for me, was trying to just go outside of the norm, I guess, with things. And I think that that helps with marketing too. You think, how can I do something outside the box? If I get this piece in and it comes in a Ziploc bag from another designer, can I create something that's a little bit more punk rock than that? And punk rock, like I said, going back to being something different, how can I do something a bit different? And I think it's one of those, I don't know what it is exactly, but I think it's those whoa moments that people have when they see something really crazy, like really insane. So, my tagline is insane toy manufacturing. So when I know it's having that effect on people, it feels good to know that I'm creating something that's really crazy that people really love. I mean, that's how can you not ask for anything more than that? I mean, that's pretty cool. But, honestly, it didn't, back since I can remember, I've been designing. I think I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've always been doing some sort of, I drew on t-shirts in high school. Like if someone wanted a punk rock album on their trench coat, I was the guy that did the Sharpie designs on the trench coats, or I did the Sharpie designs on their t-shirts and sold the artwork. I was drawing on blank skateboards and selling them at swap meets. I couldn't sell any of my customs in the 90s. So I was trying to sell, I tried to repackage some of my custom stuff. They didn't sell so well. My sculpts were terrible. And so I think also from a business standpoint, to stay competitive, you have to do things differently. And you've got to challenge yourselves. You got to do things really, really uncomfortable. And you've got to take a lot of risks and a lot of chances in the things that are going to get you to get people to say wow about your insane stuff even more, because it's going to become mediocre. I mean, since I've been in the industry, it's been just over a year, business wise, every designer has elevated tenfold. I mean, and there's people that have dropped off too. There's sculptors out there that have come into the market and then have fallen off during just the short period of time that I've been here. But just everyone else around me is just doing this, and you have to grow with that. And I love that. I think that's an amazing thing to see, because I need that. I need that lift around me. If everyone was here, I could stay there or just right above that. But if everyone's doing this, I want to go faster up the middle. So I think for me, advertising wise, I look at it as what can I do that's crazy? What can I do that's risky? And at least try it. And if it fails, it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to have the regrets of saying, oh, I wish I would have tried that. I mean, I'm just going to try it. I have a couple other things that are coming up, I'll announce here shortly, maybe not in this show, but risk-taking moments in my life with Von Burke Studios. That's pretty exciting that we'll hopefully see at LegionsCon.
Good, good. And
but it's kind of that. I think it's really that. It's just trying to really be aware of what's going on around me in the industry and what the artists are doing, and say, "Oh, that's amazing! I want to try that." So.
And you bring up a few things. You're hitting on a lot of things I love to talk about. We're talking marketing, we're talking creativity. So you're playing my tune. There's a phrase that I've always heard people say, which is metal sharpens metal.
Yeah.
And it's very much when you surround yourself with other people who are pushing themselves and excelling, it gets you to want to excel. And that's one of the things I love about this community, because when I post something really cool, do you know who I see pushing me and commenting and supporting? I see Brian Burke. I see, Stefan Delatorre. I see Len LaGuardia, Anthony House-Seal. I see Saba. I see, Zombie 13.
Yeah.
I see other creatives, Nikki, Dennis, other people that are making cool stuff. And I just rattled off a bunch of names. If I didn't rattle your name off there, don't take offense. I love you as well. My point is that this community supports each other in a really, really powerful way. When I see a new artist put out a sculpture that just blows me away, there's that moment of like, damn, I wish I would have gotten that out first, because that's so cool. Yeah. But it's quickly replaced with, that is just wonderful. I can't wait to see people work with that. I can't wait to work with that. Yeah. So I think that's a great, great part of what this industry is, this community. But you mentioned something else about the business side of what you do. And I always find what happens with the parts we both put out to be interesting, because you do have to straddle that mix of business and creative. I don't know the approach you take, so I'd like to ask, but I tend to put out some stuff that I know is going to sell. Some stuff that's a little bit safer, that I'm like, you know what, this is something, it's got a clear need. I know I can move a bunch of these units. And I try to balance that with stuff that I want for myself, that I think is off the wall, that I literally have no idea if it will find an audience. Yeah. But that mix of stuff that's commercially viable with stuff that's artistically fulfilling. And if you can find the combination of the two, you've struck gold. How do you approach that?
Yeah, I approach it differently now, nowadays. Real recent, actually, with the recent waves that are being launched from Four Horsemen. Oh. Now I'm looking at, in recent history, is what waves are going to be available, what's going to inspire creativity now with pieces that are available. It used to be, when I first came into to the market, you could find everything on BBTS. Yeah. Cheap, $40, $60 max. Right. You were finding all this kind of stuff. And so there was a lot of inventory out there for me to be inspired to create for. Well, over time, that slowly has shrunk down, but now it's blown back up again with new builders and ISS and everything else like that. They're all coming. Yeah, we're seeing so much more coming out. So now I'm shifting. I learned a lesson, I think. Then I came into a market where there was a lot of stock, there was a lot of parts, to not a lot available, with an increase in community. Yep. The cabal has doubled easily since I've been in. Now we have a huge audience with not many pieces to provide for. So now my strategy is, and you had mentioned this to me before, we've had some offline conversations about Legion Shop and things like that, about what does really well in the market is what's available for bodies and different parts, which, I mean, it makes sense. As a creative, I'm just trying to, get a great idea. I just want to get it out to the market just so people will love it and say, hey, that thing's insane, blah, blah, blah. But from a business standpoint, it's changed now where I'm actually looking at the landscape much better strategically, saying, okay, what's going to be happening? What I'm going to show here in a little while, I have 4 characters I'm going to show in a few that were heavily inspired by what's going to be available soon. So, and it's not on a business standpoint. Yeah, it's great to sell a lot of things, but I want to wow people with something that they can use now.
Yes.
They can say, I'm just going to plop this on right now. And I have so many ideas, but there's nothing worse than having getting a brand new nice set of rims. You don't have a car to put them on. It's like, that's great. Now I'm going to stockpile all this stuff, but what are we going to do with it? And so from a business standpoint, it was different then than it is now. Fortunately, there's a lot of people out there that are collectors of the third-party pieces that just have them as collections, that don't paint them right away, and they just have them, which is amazing. And I think that's I can't believe that. I can't believe I'll get some pictures from people of just stockpiled heads that are just like a museum piece, and it's a really interesting level to see the appreciation of a non-painted piece that they purely like it just for the artwork of the sculpt.
Yeah.
And to see they're just collecting for that is just amazing to me. That originally coming into it, I wanted to create a canvas that they can paint and customize, but now it's something I've created a piece that just inspires their pop culture, their love for the industry. So that's an amazing thing as well. But yeah, so now I would say I've shifted gears to be more strategic, to say, what's going to be on the horizon for figures, and what can I produce that's going to be in line with that. You can't do something too obscure that's not going to match up.
Yeah, I obviously completely agree with you.
Yeah.
So you talked about some stuff you're going to show us going forward, but before we look forward, let's look back a little bit.
Cool.
I have a photo here that I want to share. This was
oh my god.
This was
I love that. Jeremy, that one right there, I swear to God, was by far the most inspiring photo I had seen at the time. It blew my mind to see that. Anyway, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, please. That was one.
That thing. I love that thing.
And this was one that, I loved what you were doing. I appreciated it. You opened your shop, and I, was like, okay, I got to get some of these pieces. And, I had these bone wings, and it's funny because you talked about how you started trying to make your own bone wings, and it's appropriate for this picture here. But I remember getting that in and immediately just being like, you know what? I'm going to put together some crazy looking character, with the bone wings inside the arm sockets. And it painted up so well. That's one thing. I've painted quite a few of your pieces these days. And what I find for yourself, for Saba, for, Walter DeMarco, is your sculptures. I'm not a 3D sculptor, so I don't know what the exact term here is, but I will phrase it as, where to put the breaks in pieces, like parts of the sculpture. So as a painter, the paintbrush just goes where it needs to. It takes paint so well. This was one of those that absolutely.
I love that. I love that one. That's so cool.
Yeah, this was incredibly fun one to paint.
He's in my gallery on my website.
He is absolutely, actually.
He's great. That's so cool. I love the theme, the vibe of the photo too. Just the lighting is so it's spooky. It's perfect for Halloween. It's perfect for October.
So I'm absolutely not a photographer. This was taken in my garage. That piece that's behind the character is a piece of firewood.
Oh, I can see that now.
Yep. And the light is a candle that was up on top that's kind of like casting its light down. Anytime I do a photo that comes out like good, it's pure luck. Like, Trevor, Nate, those guys do wonderful photos because they know what they're doing. I get lucky, but every once in a while I do one that when I sit back, I'm like, darn, that looks really good.
I was going to say that Trevor would be proud of this right here. And you know what's cool now that you mention it? It's so organic, candle lit with the wood in the back. It's that kind of stuff that's just whoa, dude. It's like practical special effects, right? It's like,
Man,
dude,
you
that's
can't beat
awesome.
it.
I didn't know that. That's
So
cool.
tell us about this head, because this was one of the first heads. I know you probably did some earlier
Yeah.
in Mythic Legions that you didn't release, but this Ravon head was one of the first ones you made available.
Yeah, you know why is because one of my all-time favorite Four Horsemen series of figures are the birds. And at the time, I could not, for the life of me, find Voltrus, the Bonehead, or I couldn't find anything in regards to that that's within reason. I mean, they had them out there, but the price was just too crazy. So I really wanted to create some sort of a bird skull head of some sort, just to kind of make up for that. I still don't have that. I need to get that. He's like one of my little bucket list figures to get, but I need to get him.
Which one? The vulture?
Yeah, the vulture bird. I need to get that guy. But that's where the skull originally came from, was just like you had mentioned before, I want to create pieces, that I can't get or I cannot buy or something, along those lines. I'm not sure exactly how you said it, but that would Ravon was definitely inspired by me not being able to get the other pieces. And so I was like, I'll try to make something that's, like a raven. And, ravens are cool. Crows are cool. So I figured that was, it was more of a personal project too, to start with. But as I started to develop the idea of launching Burke Studios, it definitely is going to become an inventory item.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Hold on. I might have, just a second, I might have the actual original clay sculpture, traditional clay sculpture I tried to do in clay. It's terrible.
Brian going off camera to get us something to check out here. I love the fact that he's got this Von Burke logo behind him.
I'm like, all right, you ready for this?
Yeah.
So here's my, this is the foil armature piece that I've sculpted this thing, but this is the original concept.
That's awesome.
And this is clay. I mean, this is the full on clay. But yeah, this was the original. It's gigantic. I mean, it's almost ogre sized. But that was the first version of little skull cracks of Ravon.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. So you're showing us this clay sculpture of Ravon. You said you've been doing this for about a year.
Yeah.
Had you had any experience with 3D sculpting with ZBrush or anything? So you just jumped right into it.
Yeah, I think initially I was going to create a video game. I wanted to design a video game. And so I didn't want to use the pre-made animated characters. So I thought if I could just make a head, like some sort of a 3D sculpted head. That's why I got into Blender, because Blender has the ability to do sculpting and animation. So I figured, and plus it was free, I figured, oh, this will get me into a native space of doing both. And what happened was, I believe that I had posted one of my original heads that I was sculpting for maybe a video game after I got into the Cabal for a little while. And it was okay, but people were being super nice. People were being super nice and generous and saying, sold. Like they were saying sold. So I didn't understand what that meant. I was just showing that here's maybe a video game character I was going to do. What do you guys think, anatomy wise or whatever? And so I got a bunch of different feedback, but a lot of it was just saying, sold. And so I thought, well, okay, well, maybe there's something behind the business part of, maybe I can do something I love for a living someday. I don't know. It just made me think, that whole entrepreneurial thing jumped in like, oh, if I can create these, crazy things that people really enjoy, could I turn it into a business and just always produce and always create these kind of things? And so that's where it started from, was that. And so I dove heavy. I mean, I was full time learning Blender and YouTube. I mean, eyes were bleeding weekly. Just trying to figure out 3D design. So I'm a 2D designer. So my background is doing graphic design for like beer labels and different things like that. So logos, 2D work. So when you go from that to the 3D space. Oh my God, it's crazy. So that's where it started from. Was I wanted to do some sort of a video game, and
Okay.
the feedback was that they were willing to purchase the heads if I would print them. I didn't have a printer. I didn't have a 3D printer. I was just needed digital files for the for the artwork. So yeah.
And you've done all this in a year. I mean, there's so many people that are creatively working on, in this type of stuff. But I have so much respect for the fact that you are A to Z shop where, you are doing the digital sculpting. You're actually now printing, obviously doing order fulfillment. I know you don't do a ton of painting, but I've seen your paint work and I've seen your customized paint work, and that looks great as well.
Thanks.
You literally, you are taking it from concept literally all the way to completion right within Von Burke Studios.
Yes, and it's been amazing. And now it's have Emil Wickman working with me on Von Box things as well.
Yep.
And so originally when I came up with the name for Von Burke was my daughter's 9. Her name is Von Burke, so she's Gigi Von Burke. It's not VON as VAUGHN. But Von, in German is like family of. So Von Burke is the family of Burke. And so my daughter helps me with packaging and fulfillment. Even today, before she went to dance, she was like, "Dad, am I gonna be able to be on this show today?" Because she always tries to squeeze into these like my Facebook lives. She's always sneaking in somehow, somewhere. So she's really involved with producing and packaging, and it kind of helps her get over the fear of Halloween. She used to not want to go into like the Halloween stores, and now it's like the stuff I'm creating is a little crazier than that. So yeah.
So she's 9.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a look forward. My daughter's 14, and when she was 9, she was at that age as well, where she was a little bit afraid to go into the Halloween stores and everything, and she see the animatronics. 5 years later, now she's 14, and like we watch movies where she's like, "Can we watch this movie?" And I'm embarrassed because I'm like, "This is totally not age appropriate for age," and she's like, "That's fine, just keep."
Oh my
it.
God.
Nothing bothers her. Now she's like full on, like, I want to see these horror movies. The more gruesome, the better.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah.
Is she around tonight, or is she at dance?
She's at dance. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, we'll have to have you both back on to another episode.
Oh, she would love it. She's great. Yeah, but getting back to the Von Burke thing and other artists and whatever. So when I came up with the Von Burke Studios name, it could have been Von Burke Studio.
Mhm.
But I knew eventually what I wanted to do was bring on other artists, to be a part of the studio. So it'd be a Von Burke Studios, people be remote, different things like that. And so that's kind of where it all started. Was from that point on was, okay, how can I kind of lost track a little bit with talking about my daughter, but anyways, that's kind of where the whole Von Burke Studio started was with that, and then having artists like Emil hop on with Von Box and things like that has just been such an amazing treat. And then there's another example of a super talented artist that challenges me on a daily basis, and so working side by side with him has really elevated my work as well. And like you're saying, steel sharpens steel. It's one of those things. I'm a firm believer in that. It's such a it's something you definitely want to embrace.
So you mentioned Emil and the Von Box. I want to talk about the Von Box in a minute, but it is interesting because I obviously am very friendly with Emil. I work with Emil through Wolfgang Customs, through Legion Shop. You guys are both Legion Shop artists. Emil has a very similar story to your own in terms of, not having a background in 3D sculpting, doing some 2D work. Emil, as you know, is a wonderful artist in a variety of mediums. And the fact that both of you have the not depth of experience in terms of length of time, but you are putting out such amazing work is just absolutely incredible. I cannot believe that the two of you have only been doing it for as long as you have. And the fact that you found each other for something like Von Box is awesome. Tell us a little bit about Von Box.
Yeah, so kind of going back to my daughter a little bit, she's really into these mystery bags. I mean, those things are so. We go to Target. She just loves checking out these like mystery boxes and mystery bags, and I like them too. I mean, I love the hunt, for these different things and just being surprised, about those kind of things. And so I just had thought, how can we do something? How could I create something like that that's similar to that model, that's fun, that she would appreciate too, that she would think was really fun. And that's kind of how it all started. Was the funny thing is the challenge is that it's a mystery box that people don't necessarily see for 30 days. So it's a pre-order item that they won't see for 30 days. So I was really nervous about releasing Bond Box because, are they going to see value in me and have faith in me? And so my business ethics, I'm really tight with my business ethics, always have been. And so I knew that if people chose to do some research on my background ethics, on how people have said in the community about transactions, I knew they would feel safe, because that's my number one thing, is making sure that everything is legit and solid. I figured I had enough references for it. So but having the passion or the idea and want to do some sort of a mystery thing that was gonna be like a subscription base was an interesting project to try. I didn't want to do it on my own, and I wanted to have another name involved that was fun and exciting. And so I wrote to Emil and said, hey, we have joked about collaborating on things at different times, in our career or in our past. And so I figured this was a good opportunity to say, hey, Emil, what do you think about this idea? And then we started, hammering things out, and it came together really well. Like we're into the second season, third season coming up. It's been amazing. It's been so much fun, and it's been so rewarding to see people open these boxes for the first time and be surprised by these sculpts. And here's what's really crazy is the fact that people are waiting to show people.
I know.
And what they're doing is that because they don't want to spoil it for others either.
I know.
And so you're not seeing any of them anywhere, but people are messaging me when they get them. And so I think that's such a neat thing. And so what I do the best thing I could do was ship them all on one day. I know it's going to take time. My local people are going to get it quicker. East Coast is going to get it, internationally is going to get a different time. Best I can do is within my means, my capacity, is to just find one day and just ship it out at the end of the week, and then have it all go out and hope, And so people have kind of had this unofficial rule that they give it 5 days for when it's released, when it's shipped, before people post pictures, and it's really up to anyone if they want to post. I'm not saying that that's the rule, but the community surrounding Bond Box has been real supportive in honoring that. And so unfortunately, people aren't posting them at all. Like they're just holding on to them. I wish I would see more of them.
I know,
but I don't want people to be, spoiled or get it spoiled, I guess.
So I will say this. So you did the first season, which was Season of the Zodiac, 3 different sculptures. Then you did Season of the Skull. And now you have a new season coming out. What blows me away, being in the industry, being in the market, whenever I work on a sculpture with Walter or with Tristan or whatever, and we put it out, we're going to put it out multiple times. Legion Shop is obviously always in stock, so as soon as we sell out, we're restocking. Wolf King brings stuff back repeatedly. What blew me away with Von Box is, are these really one and done? Like, is it 1 month and you spent all this time on that sculpture? If someone didn't get that Von Box, you're not going to re-release it.
No, 0%. They are limited. And that's one thing part of my business ethics is that I get a lot of people asking on Instagram, for certain pieces. They'll post pictures. And it went back to last October when I had a contest for a custom contest. And I did a one-of-a-kind sculpt of Prince Cooker, and he was a pumpkin head. And it was a one-of-a-kind. There's 2 of them, actually. One went out, and I had the other one. It's this guy right here.
Yeah.
There we go. this was Prince Kukar. So this is number 2. This is number 2 of there we go.
So you can see it. It looks great.
Yeah, and so what started off with that was I got so much feedback about people wanting to buy more of those, but I couldn't do it. It was a one and done. And so what makes it magical for the person that wins it, or the person that gets Von Box, is the fact that there's no more anymore. You know, there's not going to be. I'm not going to sell them, you know, out the back door to anyone. I mean, that what you get is that's it, and they're done. They retire, just like Beanie Babies, man. They're retired. There's no more of those. And so same thing with, you know, LegionsCon coming up. I'll have an exclusive there, 50. I'm not going to say what it is right now. It'll be a surprise. But like last year for LegionsCon, I did a Mortem Warrior, and there was only 50 of those made. So no, I hold true to that, man. I hold true to that. You guys can challenge me on that all you want, but that's it. It's only those that are going to be released, and it is kind of hard because we're pumping out some pretty awesome sculpts in Von Box. And it would be really fun to release those as a regular item. But the commitment and the idea behind it is that we're not going to do that. And that's the magic behind it is it would just devalue the whole program and the whole process behind it if we did anything like that. And that would topple that whole program immediately. And so there's no way we would do it. There's no way we would slip on that. So no, you're right. And Emil told me one time that he loves the challenge of having to do a brand new sculpt every month. And it is, it's challenging to do that. It's really challenging to do that.
I respect your decision so much. As a creative, I would struggle with people wanting it and me saying like, I can't get it to you. Like the ethics part of it, I absolutely respect, 100% agree with.
Yeah.
And I respect it even more because as a creative, I know what that draw must be. So to stick to the spirit of this is every single month we do a new box, and you either get in or unfortunately this isn't available.
Yeah, totally. And so it's up to the fans, you know, if they want to pick those ones up, and each box, you know, if you look at the evolution of season 1, Season of the Zodiac Taurus, to, you know, the latest Season of the Skull. We're doing horror right now. We're Friday, I'm going to do a sneak peek on the 2 horror sculpts since the final box in Season of the Skulls. Dude, the one I created is I wish I could say some hints right now, but
keep it secret.
Yeah, I'm not going to say. No, I'm not going to say, but it is by far, I love skulls, love Halloween, love October. So I had to do something that was just off the hook. And not only me, I got yesterday, I got Emil's STL, his digital file. Oh, it's cool. But it's like you said, it's like you want everyone to get a chance to have that, you know. But that's the magic behind it, is that even though we're doing a new sculpt every month, it doesn't take away from the creative process or the want to level it up again. Like the next season box, Season of the Heroes. Whoa, dude, we got something really cool planned for the next 3 months. It's getting better and better and better and better. So the passion is going to drive us to just make those pieces even better. So yeah.
So talking about collaborations and working, Brian, I actually got to work with you on a little bit of a collaboration as well a while back.
Yeah.
And that was this piece here.
Yes.
So when Legion Shop first, started, when we first started talking about it, Joe and I conceived this, and we reached out to a handful of artists that we wanted to be involved. And you were obviously one of those artists, and quite honestly, one of the ones that just embraced the concept wholeheartedly right from the get-go. Yeah. And you said to me, well, what can I get you? What do you need for the shop? And I had this idea that I wanted to create a plague doctor. One of the great things about Legion Shop is because we have different artists, we can combine things together. So I worked with Strupp Family Crafts to create the robe that you see here, and I worked with you to create the head. And when I say I worked with you, I basically just said, hey, I want a plague doctor head, and I'll bring up a closer look at that. Um, this, I love the way this came out. And it's funny because I remember a conversation where one of the first conversations we had where you were talking about your ideas and you wanted to go in a very mutant kind of gross,
Yeah.
disgusting direction, correct?
Yeah, like a kind of like a plagued out doctor.
Like boils and
Yeah,
everything. And
yeah.
I was the one that was like, bring it
Hold
in.
on, hold
Let's
on.
bring it back.
Yeah,
Let's go with a
I
little
remember
bit
that.
more.
Yeah,
So you wanted to go with a real gross boils and pus, and I was like, let's bring it more to that like steampunk traditional
yeah,
like look.
yeah.
So do you enjoy that aspect of whether it's in this case working with me, whether it's working with Emil, that kind of back and forth of bouncing ideas and kind of working within a set of constraints?
Yes, I know. I think it's great because for me, I can only get enough outside inspiration, from reference photos to movies to whatever it may be that inspires me to create. I'm always amazed of what people have within themselves for ideas. I would have thought I would have done a plague doctor already. I would have thought before you came to me that that would have been somewhere in my notebook somewhere. And then once you brought it up, I was like, of course, this thing would be amazing. So I think it's things like that when I deal with you, Jeremy, on collaborations like this, or when Emil and I work together, or anyone else. It gets me to think a little bit differently, and I think I get to tap into their little resources a little bit and say, oh, okay. Now, if we do this collaboration, this creature, for example, this one, I got to learn to do overhang hats. I've never done anything that had an overhang hat, not only for sculpting, but for printing. So that was definitely a challenge. I learned a whole new way of supporting prints in this way. So not only was it a cool character to do, but I learned a lot about supporting and 3D printing these kind of structural details that I would probably steered away from. I probably wouldn't have even tried to do a hat that was fixed on a character. So I think it's things like that that elevates me when I do collaborations or just talk to other people, or like I said, kind of looking at the horizon of what people are doing. I start to think to myself, how can I do that? How can I do that better? Can I be the best at that kind of thing? And so definitely, I love those opportunities to do things. Now, what's interesting is I don't do commission work.
Yep.
And so, at least not right now. I just don't have time. I mean, Jeremy, literally, I'm probably 8 hours a day with Burke Studios. I mean, between everything that's happening, and so trying to do like some sort of a commission piece would be really difficult. But I love the idea of it, of hearing people's ideas. Unfortunately, a lot of those ideas are IP pieces that would be IP infringements, and I stay away from that. I mean, I don't. 10-foot pole. I stay clearly away from everything. Yeah. For sure.
So we talked about that. We obviously share that. So Brian, I've shown a couple things, but you've brought some things to show us. You've alluded that you have some things to show us as well.
Cool.
I'm going to turn it over to you. What did you bring?
So first of all, what I want to do is I do want to do a giveaway. I do have something that has not been released. Has not been seen. Jeremy has seen it, and I think maybe a couple other people in my household have seen it, but not many people have seen this piece that I'm going to be releasing here shortly. It's a painted piece, and so what I would like for people in chat to do was just type in Vontober, VONTOBER, in the chat for a chance to win this item, and we'll revisit that again here in a minute. But what I want to show you guys is for all those pieces that you guys collect, all the heads that are sitting around, I have a new headstand. There we go. Look at this. So what this is, it's a floor stand mount for your heads. It's got some bone work at the bottom, a bunch of these little skulls. You could think of them as being maybe fairy skulls, whatever you, however cryptic you want to be. But this, I'll be giving this away to one of you guys that just types in Von Tober in chat. Thank you for joining live, by the way. I appreciate it. So there's that. Super excited about this guy. He's going to be really cool. Let me grab Prince Kuker.
Nice.
So that gives you an idea of what it would look like with a head on it. It fits nicely in the sockets. It'll look really cool tabletop. And if you want to see what it looks like that's unpainted, that's it right there.
And the one you're going to be giving away tonight is actually the fully painted version?
Yep. The painted one is going out.
Awesome.
And it could be international. If you guys are from a different country, doesn't matter. I'll take care of shipping. What I'm going to do is get the names of people that are in the chat post show, and we'll do like a Wheel of Doom or Wheel of Death drawing on those of you who did Von Tober, and I'll get that out to you ASAP. Hopefully, I'll have them at LegionsCon available for sale. Not hopefully, they'll be there. They'll be there.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about LegionsCon a little bit more towards the end. I know you have some other stuff. There was one question that came up that I'll just explain really quick. And actually, you know what? I think they answered it, but someone asked, you mentioned IP infringement. Someone asked what that is. IP stands for intellectual property. It's, you know, we're both artists. We create things, we sell things for public sale. We want those things to be unique and not be tied into somebody else's property like Marvel or Star Wars. You know, you mentioned that you wanted to do Darth Vader without with a removable helmet. In today's market, you're not making that because Darth Vader is clearly owned by Disney.
Correct. Yeah. And not only just the sculpts, just names too. Like, you know, people have to be careful about mythos and names behind that and factions. And so it's all that kind of stuff I'm really careful on. And if it's something that's close or even within a range of something, I'll write to CB and I'll say, hey man, just what do you think about this? I'm going to run this promotion that I'm going to use Mythic Legions in it to help promote a sculpt, but it's helping support the Kickstarter, blah, blah, blah. Is this okay? I like to run those things by people first. And then if it's a no-go, then I don't. If it's cool, then, you know, that's just the way I roll.
Yeah, it's interesting because we all, I mean, obviously I work for Four Horsemen Studios, but I also am involved with companies that create add-ons for their work. And we know that the add-ons we create help sell more product, but it's an interesting relationship where, you know, they're very protective of what they've created, rightfully so. They're allowing us to play in their kingdom for a while, but all of us artists have to understand that there's a level of respect we have to show to that property. And not only Four Horsemen Studios, you know, like obviously I just mentioned a couple other properties as well. But hopefully that answers the question. That is what IP infringement is.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to show is that I know you guys haven't seen a lot of things outside of Von Box, a lot of sculpts. So, but I have been busy. I've been really busy with several sculpts that I'll be bringing to LegionsCon. So there's a new series. This is an interesting story. So I've seen a lot of vampires, a lot of new vampire helmets, a lot of vampire sculpts coming out, and rightfully so. It's Halloween. There's Alethea waves coming out. There's a lot of focus on vampires. But who's going to protect the people of these vampires? Who's going to protect them? And for me, my first knee-jerk thought was, I'm going to create a vampire. Heck yeah, I'm going to create a monster. But I went the other direction. I needed to create something that was going to help the people fight against the vampires. So I created a series of vampire slayers, and they're called the Eventide. And the Eventide means dawn, or it's like a dusk, midnight, when the sun, you know, when the night breaks, sun goes down. These people come out to protect. They're rarely seen. They, like I said, they only come out at nighttime because that's when vampires come out. So they're kind of a mockery to the vampires a little bit, but they're super stealthy, super, I guess, special force-ish. They're very, when I show you these pictures, they're you'll know who's who in the eventide. So
Okay.
let me start off with I haven't announced the names yet, but this is the leader. Oops. I'm gonna go to share. Hold on a sec. All right. Okay, so this right here is going to be the eventide leader. Can you see it?
I can. Yeah, it's up on screen. Very cool.
That is the eventide leader. They all wear this ceremonial kind of Oni style mask. Okay, it is one piece. I haven't created in a two-piece set yet. I did develop the mask on its own, so it is a separate piece, so to speak, sub tool. But this is the leader of the eventide. I'm going to show you next is this is my first female figure or female character. Oops. Let's see.
So this will be the first female sculpture that you've done for Burke Studios.
The next one coming up will be the first one. She's an assassin. This is the next one, and they all have that same kind of mask. Yep.
Yeah.
Hairs up in a bun.
I love that with like the pins that are in it.
Oh yeah, they could be like throwing devices, like little weapons that she can use.
Let me ask you a quick question. Both of these characters, because of the way the ears come up in that, as you said, mockery of a vampire,
yes.
You can't see what's under there.
Right.
Do you imagine these as a specific race? The first character, the leader, in this character here, or is that something you're intentionally leaving to the imagination?
Well, the bio behind them is I haven't announced what that is exactly.
Okay.
I will give a little hint that it's similar to Von Grayson's backstory a little bit. I don't have it readily available right now, but they may be closely related to vampires in some way or another.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry to be so vague.
No.
Now this next one is going to be it's kind of a brute, kind of a warrior style.
And these will be available at LegionsCon?
Yes. And that's the warrior.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's real. So my color scheme on these guys are going to be the mask, at least for the way I'm going to paint some up for display. I have the full body figures I'm going to do to show at LegionsCon, but black to kind of like a gunmetal mask with gold, dry brushing, gold details. So they're going to be very like black gothic kind of armored characters. I have a couple of other ones that I'm working on. I hope I can get ready for LegionsCon. A couple other the Eventides. Not sure if that's going to be available. They're quite ambitious. But
Nate's asking a question: will these be available painted and unpainted at LegionsCon?
No, just unpainted at LegionsCon.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's the first three of the characters of the Eventide. I'm going to have a big focus around that. I'm going to have a shirt, an Eventide shirt. I'm going to have all kinds of marketing behind the release of these guys. And so, yeah, that's going to be the next series. And I have one last one I want to do. I don't have the bio on him yet. I don't have a name exactly yet either. I have an idea of why he's here in my universe. And this guy you guys are going to like this. This is cool. I've been busy. So I
will tell you this, that I love the theme. I love the fact that you're not just doing a piece to do a piece, which, dude, I dig that too. Okay. Because not everything has to tie in together. Right. But I see, like, talking about Emil, I see what Emil and Steven have created with like God's Fire, which is just literally caught fire, and people love those characters. I've talked to them before about, I love that people can take these things we create and do anything they want with them. But with the God's Fire characters, what I always found is amazing is people are using them as God's Fire characters.
Yeah.
Like by and large, they're like, this is the believer, this is the fallen. Seeing what you're laying out here with the Eventide, I get that same kind of feeling where it's got a fully realized character roster, a story where these are pieces that I can see people getting, painting, and using along with the story you're presenting.
Yeah, and especially since we have vampires coming, right?
Yeah.
And so this is perfect to get extra bodies, right? Because their theme is a lot is kind of parallel to the vampires a little bit. So it's something that is going to part swap really easily for pictures. You'll be able to use it, and you can even with these guys, they can even be vampires if you want. If you wanted to change it up, you know, the storyline, they look like they could be.
Yep.
So that's one of the things I really wanted to focus on this one. That's why at LegionsCon, I'm going to, like I said, have the shirt and have a lot of promotion around it because it's a new just storyline, new thing that I think is going to be really fun for upcoming figures that are coming out and just really versatile for people. And like you said, having a bio and a story behind it, not everyone's, you know, wants to be creative or has time to be creative enough to create stories that they can use something they really like to. You know,
absolutely.
so this last one.
Do you have one more? Okay, good. You have one more to show. Okay.
I do. I have one more. So this last one is not a part of those guys, but it's a new one that's going to be. And we spoke about Melissa earlier, and we were saying how amazing person she is. On the Cabal, either Cabal or on the Coven page, I had put out a need for some wings. I needed some wings for a future custom.
I saw that.
She was the first one to write and say, I got you. What do you need? I got you. I was like, dude, okay, here we go. So I have a full custom I'm working on, and this head is going to be for that custom. Thank you, Melissa, if you're watching this for supplying those wings. I really appreciate you big time. So this one right here is going to be kind of a godly kind of creature. So it's like, you'll see. Here's the other one. So he has like these really falcon kind of eagle embellishments, very gladiator kind of look. So imagine a bare-chested body part, armored arm, strap, very gladiator kind of armored legs with the real aggressive feet, and maybe spear-like weapon. I'm looking at light colors, like a white gray color palette with gold, maybe some gold detailing to kind of have this angelic kind of going opposite of what I normally would do. But I was inspired, the Eventide really inspired me to go, the good guy route with things. And typically I do. I mean, I love the good guys. I always root for the good guys, but the bad guys look so cool. They just stormtroopers look awesome. The good guys, the Jedi's not so much. Anyways,
hey man,
you know what I mean? So that's this one I wanted a really aggressive champion kind of look, but also could be a builder as well. Like you could have a flock of these guys, So it's going to be really fun to dry brush. Same thing with the Eventide, the masks. I wanted something that had a lot of texture, a lot of raised areas. So dry brushing and washes are some of the two easiest things you could do to make a custom look freaking amazing. And so I wanted to do something that was that would embrace that, where you could just knock something out of the park in a really cool, quick application. And this head right here, this helm, was one of the inspirations for that. There's some rivets on the helmet too that you can do off color. You can do all kinds of really cool dry brushing and whatnot on it. So he'll will be available at LegionsCon as well, but not painted.
Comment saying really cool. It could be used on either Mythic or Cosmic Legions. Worked on both sci-fi and fantasy. I totally agree. I can see this as got some sci-fi type feel to it.
Totally. And one last detail that you can't really see in the picture right here, and unfortunately I should have got it probably better close up, is the jawline, right underneath the chin bone. There's actually kind of like.
Let me stop you.
Yeah.
Go into the browser, literally in Chrome, just grab it and pinch and enlarge it.
Which one?
If you actually go into the Chrome tab where the image is.
Oh yeah.
With your fingers, just pinch. Actually, I'm doing pinch. I don't know if you have it. Do you have a touch screen?
Yes. Or no. Oh, you know what? Okay, I see.
So if you just enlarge it, we'll actually see it larger here. So we
Oh,
got it a little bit larger.
yeah, that's all I can do.
Okay, fair enough.
But but right there, right below the cheek line, there's
Yep.
a like an eagle claw. So it's not quite a sculpted claw, but there's a design element that kind of insinuates that that's what it is. So it's a very
Awesome.
um, bird kind of, avian, right? Birds,
Yep.
avians,
Yep.
avian type feel to it. So he's going to be a really fun one to paint,
He
or
is.
she. It could be a she too. Really
Sure.
cool, badass she. Um, so those are the four that I'm going to be bringing to. Well, the four regular release items that I'm bringing to LegionsCon. I will have a LegionsCon exclusive of 50 pieces. That's a top secret character. Totally unexpected race of creature that I would have not normally done, but I had to do it. It's a fun one, and so I'm going to have that guy available on for LegionsCon as well. Like I said, 50 pieces available. What I'll probably do, to be honest with you, I might hold some back. I may even increase the amount, hold some back for people that can't make it to LegionsCon,
Sure.
and just maybe have maybe 25 or so at LegionsCon, 25 available. If they like PM me through website or
Yep.
something, I'll figure something out. I just don't want the people that weren't able to make it physically to LegionsCon to miss out on an exclusive.
Sure.
So I'm not sure what I'll do with it, but it'll definitely be available there. I'm not sure the quantity right now, but I want to have it available for people that can't make it too.
Excellent. And just to be clear, you're talking about the exclusive, not what is on screen.
Oh yeah,
Right?
sorry. Yeah,
Yep.
the exclusive. These ones will be regular pieces, and then I'll also have those headstands as well.
Awesome. So you actually have been busy. You mentioned that people haven't, because that is obviously one of the risks with the Von box, is because people aren't sharing them out of respect for the community.
Yeah.
You're not seeing stuff actually hitting the website as new products that are for sale.
Yes, and that drives me crazy because that's why I dove so hard into create new characters, because I need to have that. I need to
Yeah.
have I want to see people stoked about it. I want people to really enjoy this stuff.
Yeah.
And so when people covet, all these the Von Box stuff,
Yeah.
I'm missing out. And so I need
Yeah.
to work extra hard to get some things out there to see people like it. It's, as an artist, it's you just you want to see that.
Absolutely. So now, all of the items you just showed, the Eventide and that angelic,
Yeah.
like looking knight helmet, those will debut at LegionsCon, but after they will be available as regular stock items on the website.
Yeah, that's correct.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then the exclusive you just talked about.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about LegionsCon, because oh my goodness, it is October 13th. LegionsCon, the big day, exhibit day is October 14th.
Yeah.
Excuse me, November 14th.
Yeah.
November 13th is day one of ToyCon, where a lot of us are going to be there just kind of casually meeting people and mingling and stuff. I genuinely cannot believe we are a month away.
Whoa. It's crazy. I mean, I never would have thought, to be honest with you, that I would be traveling across the country for an event like this. I mean, right now it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to be there, but it's like, ask me that 6 months ago, no way.
I know. It's
Crazy.
It's funny because in May, when we went and we did ToyCon in New Jersey, which is the same building that we're going to be in this time in Wayne, New Jersey, everyone had masks on, but things were getting better. Like, we were seeing the light at the end of that tunnel. And then obviously with, the Delta variant, things got a little shaky there. Like, there were conversations that Joe and I had where we were like, what happens if New Jersey says no live gatherings? That was a worry. I think we're seeing numbers come down again. That worry is gone. I have plenty of other worries, but that one's gone.
Right.
But I'm incredibly excited that people like yourself are excited for the event, that you are traveling, you're coming down, you're going to be exhibiting, you're putting so much work into what you're going to show off there.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, Brian, I've been hearing from different artists about what they're doing and what they're bringing. And I am just, I as a fan, this thing is going to be absolutely amazing.
Oh my gosh. No, I can't believe it. We were talking earlier just about how much it's grown since, LegionsCon 1.
Yes.
And just to think about, it's just staggering to think of how much content is going to be at the show, how many people are going to be. And what's even better is that we have an opportunity to meet, in person, these people that we have amazing conversations with on social media. But now we're able to really to meet and get to know some of these people. That I'm so excited for that. I can't, I can't wait.
I agree. I mean, because there are people, obviously with my role in the community, I get to talk to so many people. And then some people like yourself, I talk to with some frequency. While this is the first time you've been on the show, we've certainly done calls and had conversations together. But there's a lot of people who, quite frankly, I've never engaged with them anyway, other than, some direct messages and some comments on the Cabal. People that they seem like really cool people, and I'm thrilled to be able to meet them. I've said this before. One of my worries as an attendee is that I'm going to be so busy with everything that I'm not going to get to soak it all in and see it all.
Right. I thought the same thing. It's gonna be so busy, so busy.
Well, that's why I think the relaxed day on Saturday will be nice for all of us. The fact that we can get there and we can mingle, and we're not behind a table. Because when you're behind a table, you can't walk away because you're like, I got all my product and exhibits and stuff there, and you don't want to just leave that stuff, even within a great community like the Mythic Legions, the Legions community.
Right.
So I think that Saturday is going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure there's going to be some Legionnaire dinners or happy hours or something that people decide to plan. So that's going to be great. I'm absolutely looking forward to it.
So excited. Yeah, a lot of just some of the core people in the Cabal have just been writing that are going out there saying, what kind of meetup we going to do, or what are we going to do with this? And it's just really cool to see people are willing to hang out. It's like, it's one thing for social media for people to say nice things and compliments and things, but actually hear people excited to meet one another is really an amazing thing.
It is. In talking to the actual horsemen, I'm going to be honest, there's a level of disbelief that they have that this is a thing, that this is happening. Because they look at something like PowerCon, right? Happens out in Anaheim, the Masters of the Universe convention, or, TFCon for Transformers. And you look at those properties and they've been around for decades. For Mythic Legions, which is still it's 6.5, 7 years old at this point. For them to have this convention, this growing convention that is totally dedicated to their work, there's a sense at the studio of, obviously incredible excitement, incredible appreciation, but just awe that the community has gotten to where it is.
Yeah.
And I've talked to you about this offline. The goal here is that, you talked about the growth we had since year one. Year one, we thought it was going to be a dozen of us hanging out, sharing customs. When people started flying in, when Walter said to me, I'm flying in from California, I was like, what? And then Nikki and Dennis and, Drew driving over. And that blew my mind that people were coming from that distance. This year, we're still tied in with ToyCon. But if this does what we expect, we're looking forward to subsequent years, this being its totally own thing. Stand on its own a couple days, really do the presentations and the panel discussions and, the whole 9 yards, do it like at a hotel. And, I'm incredibly excited.
Oh, for sure. You can already see it happening. Just the community growth is so big. It's so big. They're going to have to do, East Coast, West Coast shows, where.
And we've talked about that. I've talked with, Iz Ramirez. he's out obviously on the West Coast, and he's talked about doing a West Coast version of a LegionsCon type event. And it's definitely something to consider. I mean, the reason it's in New Jersey is totally practical reasons.
Yeah,
The studios in New Jersey, being able to bring that product, right from the studio. I mean, the venue is 10 minutes from the studio. Being able to bring that right from the studio right to the venue. I mean, there's a convenience level there that you don't have if everyone's going to trek across the country. But never say never.
Right.
Walter just says we have plans for the West Coast. It, it may not be Joe and myself running it like we do LegionsCon, but we're just two fans who took the initiative and said, "Hey, let's do this thing." We're super excited for what it's become. Maybe there will be a West Coast version we're involved with. Maybe someone like Walter and Iz will take the mantle and do that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I could see them doing that.
I just will say that if there is a West Coast version, all of you West Coasters that come out to the East Coast version, you still got to come out. You got to remember who the OG is.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I think that's what we're going to see. I think that's definitely in the future. And I think also goes to say, it's something to be said about the Four Horsemen. They're very, I don't want to say frugal, but I think they're articulate with how they are allocating their resources for these kind of events. They're not just going all crazy spending money where they may not need to at certain points, and when you really dive into behind the scenes, I'm sure there's a lot of stress with production dollars and shipping and everything else like that comes along with it that people might look at as like, oh, they have so much money and blah blah blah, but man, as a business, the reason you're successful is because you are looking at those, the being frugal in certain areas, or making sure you're careful with spending here and there. And so that's one thing I really respect about them too, and that they're articulate in what they're doing.
And they've told this story before. I mean, the virtual G-Con event, which, I mean, obviously everyone went to virtual events last year by necessity, but they were doing that a couple years before it became a necessity. And they talk about the fact that when they looked at the expense of going out to San Francisco to do San Diego, I said San Diego, San Francisco, San Diego, when they went out to San Diego Comic-Con, it was a huge expense. It was logistically just a headache to be out there. And there's so much going on. There's so much noise that they realized they were having more fun doing smaller shows, shows like ToyCon New Jersey, ZoloCon, DesignerCon, these smaller, more intimate shows. They were like, hey, we really want to focus there. And that was part of the reason they said, you know what? G-Con started with them saying, instead of us spending all this money to go out to San Francisco, I keep saying San Francisco, out to San Diego, let's bring some people to us. Let's bring Nate Barch to us. Let's bring Iz to us. We all went to the studio, and that's how that first year of G-Con started. So that mentality of the smaller shows where they can make a more intimate impact, I think that's a model that's worked well for them that I can't see them getting away from.
No, I think that's amazing though. And I think us as fans really appreciate that. Even if you look at just the social media, like the Cabal, you'll see CB hop in and he'll chit chat with people just on Facebook. It's like, it's amazing that you're able to, and yourself, just able to talk to these people in that space. It's just amazing that they have that connection, with the community, or want to have a tighter, connection with the community. So I think that's really helped propel them,
I was talking, we were talking about our friend Melissa earlier, and her and I were talking recently about LegionsCon and that experience. And this will obviously be for her first trip. And I warned her. I said, the one warning I will give you is it's overwhelming in a good way. It's overwhelming because I can't speak for you, but this is a huge part of my life. Obviously it's the work that I do. It's my hobby. It's what I love to do. I mean, we're spending our Wednesday night here. I mean, it's your Wednesday early evening because you're on the West Coast. But so much of my day-to-day is focused on this community. to be at an event like LegionsCon, to be around the community with the creators, with the fellow fans. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There are moments, even in May when I went to ToyCon, where you take a step back and you have to catch your breath because you're like, this is incredible. Like, it's incredible to just be a part of something like that. So I gave her that warning, and I'll give it to you and everybody that's coming. It is awesome in all the best ways.
That's so amazing. No, I think it's just good fuel for the soul, for like the culture and just the things that we're passionate about for the next months to come before the next show. You know, it's just, we can hold on to that as being the fuel and really embrace our communities. You know, like I know I'm coming out of LegionsCon a changed person. Just getting to know people, just being in the space of all the creatives, everything. I'm going to come back a whole different person, and just the whole thing with the cabal and any other, you know, groups. It's just going to be an interesting, life-changing time for me. I believe that
you're going to come back and you're going to be like, let me get on my computer. I need to start sculpting, because the juices are going to be flowing and you're going to be like, I'm inspired. I want to.
And that is true. And I think that the passion is inspiring.
Yes.
Sure. So yeah, it's really cool.
So Brian, we've got about 10 minutes left in the length the show normally runs. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about or cover? And I can also certainly open it up to the community of fans that are watching live to see if they have any questions for either of us.
You know, I think the only thing is that I just want to thank everyone, and you, Jeremy, for having me on here. It's this is definitely, as a creative person of my whole entire life, this is definitely a bucket list item I'm going to check off. There was a couple of things, Jeremy, that you were that were on my list that you helped check off. When I first came into the community, I said, if I could ever be featured on Customizer's Corner, that would be it. I'm done. I mean, that's it. And then not too long, you know, sometime after that happened, I was like, oh my God, you just can't get any better than this. And so then, you know, LegionsCon came, and then the show came. And so just having the ability to be here and be able to check those things off my bucket list is such an honor to me. And I wouldn't be able to be here or do this without the community supporting the things that I'm doing, without you supporting the things that I'm doing. So you can't imagine how that must feel for me to be in the space. And I'm just humbled by everyone around me. And I think that's another piece of fuel, a log on the fire that keeps me creative and keeps me, you know, that's my oxygen, right? That's my octane, is all of that. And so it's just, I just want to say thank you to everyone for being on the show, taking time to
You're incredibly welcome.
Listen to me and everything like that. But and all the support that everyone does with you know, painting up of the pieces again, having a canvas for people to become creative and stay creative, I think is really important. We need to have that outlet. We're all from different professions. We all come from different, you know, family dynamics. We need breaks. We need stress release. For some it's fitness and some other things. Some, you know, others it's creative work. And so if I can help provide that with my pieces, that's a huge thing. I mean, that's really cool. So I thank you guys for all that support. And that's all I really had, to be honest, to throw in there. I mean, that's the most important thing, was to be able to meet you guys live here, and then to be at LegionsCon and meet you in person. But all the other stuff falls into place.
Awesome.
Releases, you know, the support for, you know, as a business. I think I'm a firm believer that if you believe in your product and you believe in your process wholeheartedly, the other stuff, sales, production, distribution, everything else is a result of that. It is not the thing you go after. You go after the other stuff. You community support. You create badass stuff. You create this brand, right? The other and then you're confident that the other stuff happens for you.
Yep.
And I believe that. And so I just want everyone to know that's my focus. Is I really want people to feel the Burke Studios vibe, and to thank you guys for everything. So
awesome. So we do have a couple questions.
yeah.
I'm gonna hit it up here. By any chance, do you have the Vorbach werewolf head near you? How would that look on a goblin body? Really considering getting 3 to put on Goblin Legion builders.
Well, let's find out.
Okay, we're gonna get it.
Just so happen to have Vorbach right there, and
I'm gonna give you a. I'm gonna focus you here so you can see.
I'm prepared. I've never done this. I've never put them on a goblin body, but that's the way it would look like. The head's slightly big.
Yeah, but I like goblins having oversized pieces anyway.
Oh,
I think that looks great.
And like that pit bull, like a little. Yeah.
And that is on a Nubnik body.
Yep. No, that works. That's cool.
I think it does.
There's not much range of motion with this neck piece, but that's easily fixed. But no, I think it works. I think it's cool. Like I like the idea of it being more of a smaller statured kind of custom.
Yep.
Like it's kind of creepy, actually. Yeah. Put a little tail on him.
I love that.
Yeah, it works. I like it.
Okay, so a couple more questions here. Let's try to get through some of these questions.
Remember, guys, comment with Von Tober in the comments, and you're gonna be entered in for a drawing for this painted new headstand.
Excellent.
Four-eyed.
Says, when are we getting the hooded cultist-looking skeleton head?
Oh, right. That was he is kind of a back burner. That is the Mortem priest. So I have a set of characters, the Mortem sets, and they're kind of like these Death Knights kind of things. Really cool backstory on them. But one of my recent Mortem characters is a priest, and he is the one who is like the basis of converting people to the Mortem. Like he's kind of like the magic user, I guess, the occultist, so to speak. Kind of like a necromancer, I guess, involved in turning people to the Mortem side, or not, but he's still there. It's not out yet.
Okay. What's one of your favorite third-party heads done by another artist?
Let's see. God, there's many of them, actually. I think the latest vampire helmet that Emil did, that's going to be released at LegionsCon, was just staggering. Yeah, it's one of the coolest pieces I've seen. So that's definitely of the most recent ones. I would say that's really cool. The other one I would say, and this is what's interesting for you, Jeremy, is the Kitsune. When it first came out, see, my mom was Japanese, so I'm half Japanese. So I have this really tie-in with like Japanese culture and things like that. And so when those started rolling in, it was the first time I had bought third-party bodies, like samurai bodies, thinking, how can I make a custom? And I never got to it, but how can I make a custom that would incorporate that kind of a head? And I love the concept. So, but not only that, what it did is it, I think that was your first collaboration with Wolf King, was the Kitsune, right?
Yeah, that was the first piece I ever did.
When I saw that, I was like, I think it was around the time I was going to launch my product, and you launched it, and I was like, oh my God, he did it. He's got something out now. And then I thought to myself, I need to get going. It was like, what's going on? I need to catch up. And so, so it was this interesting dynamic of that. So going back to the question, I'd say those two pieces. I don't know. I'm always amazed by Seb Adam's work, like the stuff that how fast it's grown, and the complexity of his work is inspiring. And so I couldn't name one piece that I like the most of his, because I think they're so. Him and Julie both are just holy crap.
his most recent kit that he did, the Prince, is it Darius?
Yeah.
I have Darius and Damascus in my head, so I'm confused which
Yeah.
one. But that kit that he put together, which was, he did a head, he did lower arms, lower legs, a sword, shoulder pauldrons, a crazy shield. That set that he put together was one of the most well realized, fully fleshed out character sets I think I've seen. Like that, I was like, wow, that just, that is really top to bottom, just fully fleshed out character.
Yeah, I think it was a pivotal time for me also as an artist, because one day I would love to do an action figure, but seeing his work was one of those pivotal moments, thinking he's on the cusp of that. I see where he's going. I see what's going to happen. And so that was really cool. But I would say, gosh, there's so many of them out there that I'm just so impressed with. It's just staggering.
Orc hexagon head that you did for the Mythic Legions Tactics, is that still coming out?
Yeah, for sure. So that was an exclusive for people who supported the Kickstarter for Aetherblade Kickstarter. But yeah, it's definitely, once those figures start rolling, I have a list of people who initially did the backing for it. So I have all those names, and I am going to message you guys, and we're going to do a direct distribution that way. I won't be able to do it on the website because of the fact that I only have a limited number that I'm going to release, and it was only for the people who backed the program. So, but yeah, it's ready to go. He's on standby.
So the last question I'm going to leave with tonight, Thor earlier said, what advice would you give to someone wanting to start their customizing action figure business? So we can both answer this. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I would say reach out to the people that are already established. Don't be afraid to ask questions of people that are already doing it. I think that's the biggest thing. People tend to think that maybe we have art that is trade secrets or something for business. But like going back to what I was saying before, if you truly believe in your product and everything else, people are going to support your business, the way it's going to be supported. So I would say reach out, ask questions, ask me, ask me anything. Whenever I see people do sculpts, I always say, hey, message me. If you have a question about something, about whatever, just message. I'll hook you up. Well, I had a call, I said, hey, give me a call recently. So just give me a call. And we ended up working it out through Messenger, but just ask, and people will help you out. And then YouTube's a good resource for learning how to do different things. So, but I'd say the number one is just ask people that are already out there that are established. And then, if one person doesn't respond, go on to the next person. Ask me first. I'll hook you up.
I would echo a lot of what you said. And I would also say, reach out to me. I'm happy to give some advice as well. Obviously, I'm a co-owner of Legion Shop, and we partner with a lot of artists who may not want to do it all on their own, because you're running a business. It is no small amount of effort to do everything from start to finish. If you want to do only certain parts and you don't want to deal with order fulfillment and marketing and all of that, that's where something like Legion Shop can come in. We certainly have artists like yourself that do some stuff with Legion Shop, some stuff on their own. But I would say not only ask people that are doing it questions. I would say if you're going to partner with people, partner with good people.
Right.
Partner with good people that are doing it the right way.
Totally.
I put out a ton of parts. I'm not a sculptor. I'm not a printer. I aligned myself with really, really good human beings who share similar mentalities, similar business ethics, similar, just drive to want to do this. So ask the questions, be good, believe in what you're putting out, like Brian said, and partner with good people.
Yeah. And I think lastly too, is don't be stifled by the market. Don't feel that things are saturated. Don't let that not let you be creative and not let you want to make a living at doing something like this, because in every industry, there's someone that comes up. Tesla comes up. Who would have thought that there's going to be a new car company, you know, or that's going to be successful? I mean, it's in every industry. So it's not about who's out there. It's what you believe in and what you're doing, and don't be stifled by that around you. That's just noise. That's just a lot of noise, and it's going to keep you from doing anything. So just get out there, just do it. Just
do it better. Do it better. Don't be stifled. Look at what's out there and say, what's my voice?
Yes.
You know, how can I do something? And I mean, I say do it better. There's kind of an ego aspect to that. Do it differently. Do something and say, where's my voice? What's my style? You know, how am I going to put my mark on it?
Believe you can do it better. Also, believe you can do it better. And I think that's a really major component in growth, is that. So that's a good question, though. That's really
It is a great question. That's why I thought it was good to end with. So couple things I'll throw on screen. www.legionshop.com. That is a website we mentioned. Brian's got a bunch of stuff on there, including I've got Mr. Plague Doctor right here with me. Those are available there. If you want to see more of Brian's stuff, you can check that out. www.vonburkestudios.com. A lot of the cool stuff we saw tonight was on there, and the stuff that he showed that's going to be making its debut at LegionsCon at the end of well, actually not the end of the month, at the beginning of November. That stuff will be there as well. If you want more information on that show, you can check that out at legionscon.com. And with that, Brian, I think we're going to call it an evening. And
thanks for having me. I'm so honored.
And you can hang out for a few minutes so we can debrief in the, just you and I once we're done here. I do want to tell everyone that next week I will not be here. Next week, Brian, is actually my 20th wedding anniversary. Oh. So I would like to get to number 21. So I figured that if I tell my wife her 20th anniversary that I have to talk about toys on the internet, she's probably going to get a little bit. So I will be with my wife next Wednesday instead of with all of you wonderful people. I will absolutely miss you, but I will be back the following week.
Cool.
And with that, we'll call it an evening. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Good seeing you.